God has a beautiful way of piecing together people's lives.
I grew up with Tom Williams, just sitting here looking at through some old times at some pictures, and yeah, here we are partying, and a lot's changed for Tom in his life and for the better. And
I was raised in church, never met Christ. I lay tile for a living. This is what I do. This is my job. This is where I work. This is my partner, Dave. We lay tile together. We've been working together for six years?
6 long years.
6 long years. The reason why he says long is because I've given him such a hard time for the last 4 years anyway. But what I would give him a hard time about was that he knew Jesus, and I saw something in him that I wanted.
And I think that's where God gave me grace with Tom, because there's many times when I put my finger in his face and told him, "You're not going to break me!"
Only because I was provoking him. I guess it was my pride that was telling me that,
strong will.
Yeah, that only strong people, strong people don't need the Lord. Those just for wimps. But as you can see, Dave's not a wimp.
This one job site, I had yanked the radio out, or the cord out of the wall, and then the fella plugged it back in, and I ran back over there and unplugged it, and I wasn't very polite with it, and then I went back and started doing tile, and Tom said, "Oh, I'd like to see you preach the gospel to him now." You know what, Tom, you're right, but there is a way that I can make it right. And I went back to the guy who was a hardwood floor guy, and I went back to apologize to him, and there was so much tension in the air, you can cut it with a knife. I'm sorry, I should have never done that. That was wrong of me. And it's your radio, I had no right to unplug it like that. You forgive me?
Okay.
Good. I'll turn your radio back on. I'm really sorry. And when I apologized to him, that tension was gone. And that was the door that was allowed open because I asked for forgiveness of the fellow.
Dave just showed me that you can still be a human and love the Lord. And he accepts us and forgives us the way we are. And that's something I never really realized.
Who would have imagined just by inviting Tom to church that, he'd be leading out in prayer meeting, and it's amazing what God can do.
I was out mowing the lawn one day, and he stopped by and asked me to come to church, and I said, "Church? What are you talking about?" I was out mowing my lawn, and having a beer while I was mowing my lawn. And he says, "Oh, that's all right." He says, "Just come to we're starting a men's group. Come by and check it out." So I said, "All right, whatever." And then I went to that, and that's when they invited me to go to Promise Keepers the next week. I went the next week with Promise Keepers, and that's when it all happened.
We keep ourselves accountable for our wives, how we're treating our wives, and also with our children. And it's good to have somebody you can be partners with. It's not easy, but it's worth it all.
I started thinking about my neighbors where I used to live, there in Oregon City, and I hadn't thought of them in like 10 years, and then all of a sudden I was like, why am I thinking about these people? And I drove past their house a couple times, and the Lord kept saying, to stop by and say hi to them, and I just kept driving past, and didn't want to, reconnect.
I've known Tom since he was 14 years old, and he lived down the street from us in a small trailer with his mother and dad. One
night I started praying for him, and I didn't know why I was praying for him. And all of a sudden I got a phone call like a week later that, and I don't know how they found my number, but they called me to tell me that their dad had passed away. And he was the guy that I was mainly praying for. So, I felt bad because I hadn't stopped by.
Tom just came into my life at a time when I really, really needed him.
So I invited Jean to come to church. And
I needed something. And Tom was there and asked me if I wanted to come to a Bible study class, and I'd always wanted to come to one. So he offered to come and pick me up and bring me home. And
when I was a kid, I always wanted to be a missionary. My mom taught me how to pray told me to ask the Lord to help me become a missionary, and that's what we're called to do, and that's what I'm doing here.
I started going to Bible study class, and I enjoyed it so much. It gave me something to do, and the more I went, the more I liked it.
I'm finding myself, I'm in a mission field here because I have lots of people who don't know the Lord that I can talk to and tell them about what Jesus has done in my life.
I enjoyed it so much that I decided to join the church.
The Lord's changed her life too.
He told me, he said, I never expected when I came and asked you if you'd like to come to Bible study class with me, that you would join our church.
Well, I just really see God's hand in that. That let me know that's real.
I really think that had my husband been alive, that he would have enjoyed going to the Pleasant Valley Adventist Church.
Thank you for watching. Until next quarter, this has been Northwest Spotlight on Mission.